For a long time, I've been meaning to sit down with you to pick your brain a little bit. Like I was telling you earlier today, you actually led my very first sales training, which says a lot about the experience you have, and that is why I actually wanted you here. Now, for anyone who doesn't know who Harris is yet, how would you describe yourself?
Yeah, no, first of all, thank you so much, Raf, for inviting me over here. Such a pleasure to always work with like-minded people like yourself. We're doing amazing in this space, doing such creative stuff. So I always love to collaborate like people like you.
Appreciate that.
And Raf, as far as you've asked the question, who am I as a person? I think it's a very complex answer to that. There's a whole story to every person, and that's what makes us different. I think in the last 10 years, I would really say, I have seen the struggles. I've seen phases of life where I almost gave up on life. Rather that be my phase during school, my phase during work. But at the end, the most important part is coming out as a resilient person. So I think that's me. Resiliency and discipline are the two words I would describe myself with.
That's really important. That's really important, and I think we'll get deep into that later on. Before anything, I would like to know: was Harris born in Canada, or did he move here at some point?
No, I moved here in 2013.
Oh.
So I first moved to Calgary. I spent 1 year over there, but I always wanted to go to a bigger university. That was my dream. I wanted to study at universities like SFU, UBC, University of Alberta. So when I first went to Calgary, in my high school, I was just an average person, an average student, a backbencher, not really into studies. But my dad always told me that if you work hard, even an average person can achieve what your goals are. And I think that really hit me hard during my university. And coming here as a student, starting your life from zero, no family, no support, building your life from zero, from scratch, I think that was a really tough part of life. And but yeah, as I said, resiliency was within, and it kept building as well as the time progressed. And yeah, starting my life as a student here, and now here I am 12 years after.
Wow. So talking about starting your life as a student, which means you've kind of like you've gone through certain phases in life, right? So looking back in 2013 when you arrived here, so Harris 2013 and Harris 2026, what would you say is the biggest difference?
Oh, it's a whole different life, but what remains the same is the energy. It's the same energy, but it was a completely different life. How I looked at life was completely different. I remember during university, someone introduced me to door to door, and I was like, "This is something I never want to do. This is something that I'm gonna stay away from." And such is life, you know. The ironic part is today I am building my life in the door to door space, and that's the ironic part, that I was able to go from where I had no purpose. I didn't have any goals in life. The biggest goal in university was to get good grades, and that was it. Once I achieved that, I felt like there is no purpose to life. Same thing in high school. When in high school, you want to achieve good grades. Once you have done it, now what? You go to university, you achieve good grades, now what? So once I had graduated from university, and I was questioning to myself, okay, now what is the goal? And really, I came into this space and I was lucky enough to have mentors that taught me really well, that built my foundation really well, that built my core, gave me confidence, and really set my goals to where they should be. They should be strong. You should have a strong why you're doing this job, and not just this job. I think any job you need to have a really strong why.
That makes sense. And I think that is actually a big question we all at one point should ask, right? Now what? Because we stay chasing all these dreams, we stay chasing all these things, like we chase money, we chase this, we chase pleasure, and then you eventually get that. And the next thing that comes up is the question, now what? Right? So it's really it's a broad question, which I believe everyone at some point has got to ask himself, now what? Because after you achieve all this and you're still not satisfied, there have to be something after that. And that's where the question comes in, right? And then you did mention you told yourself you would never get into door to door. How did you get convinced? How did the person sell you the dream? How did you get into door to door?
It was really tough. I'll tell you, it was really tough. Even when I joined in, I wasn't ready to burn my bridges because I have a bachelor's degree in economics. And with that, I have a postgraduate advanced diploma in data science. So I had my life set up for a perfect corporate slave, what I would say. I was convinced that I'm going to work 9 to 5 to build someone else's dream. I was convinced on that idea. To break off from that, it took me some time, and that's okay. It took me some time to burn my bridges, and that's also okay. And you have to realize not everyone is the same. Everyone is different. Everyone has different timelines. Everyone absorbs knowledge and information differently. And it was the same thing for me. It took me quite a good time to burn my bridges and come all into this space. There were moments where I was knocking doors, going out, working 8 hours in the sun, in the winters, in the rain. But there were many days where I didn't make any sale. And those were the days I wanted to quit, right? But you have to remind yourself that you're resilient. And once I had burned my bridges, I never looked back. This was what I wanted to do. This is what I want to build my life on. And once I started reading books, people who have done door to door for a long time, the positions they are in today, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So it was always to break the shackles of the corporate life and building my dream instead of building someone else's dream by doing 9 to 5.
Talking about burning bridges, how would you explain the concept of burning bridges to someone out there who's scared of like letting go of things that actually not adding to their lives? And what does that mean? What should that mean to their lives?
I think the biggest thing is people want a stable income, and you need to realize that if you have a stable income, whoever is giving you that income, he has paid a certain money to buy you from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening. He has literally bought you as I call them a corporate slave. So when you burn bridges, you enter the first step of entrepreneurship. That's literally the first step. Burn your bridges. Do not look back, because there will be hurdles. It won't be a straight line. You have to acknowledge it won't be a straight line. Because if you haven't burned your bridges and a hurdle comes, you're going to look back and run. That's the first thing that's going to happen. But that should not be the case. You need to give up on the idea that stable income is not the answer. That's the first thing you need to get out of your head. That stable income is not the answer. You can build your own value. Raf has his own value. Harris has his own value. We have our own value. We define ourselves. Don't let other define you. And I think that's what burning the bridge mean.
So how long did it take you to accept your new identity? Because I believe for you to move from a corporate life to doing door to door, it took you, it cost you something, right? How long did it take you, or for someone who's thinking of doing so as well, how long should they expect for the change to actually take place in their lives?
I think for me, it might have took longer than expected, but it did take a good 6 months to get me fully convinced that this is what I want to do. And there was no shame when someone asked me that, hey, have you burned all your bridges and are you all in? I would tell them I'm still considering. I'm still reading books, articles, researching on this part, and I will have an answer soon. And once I realized that when I burned all my bridges, the mindset was completely different. I was in a completely different zone. And obviously, this was a space which was new to me. Reading articles, talking to people, reading books was a huge thing to learn new things and the basic things in this space. So initially, a lot of learning takes place. Talk to people, research. Social media is huge. Instagram is huge, and if you're gonna come with the intention that sooner or later you will burn your bridge. And that was my mindset as well, that sooner or later I will burn my bridge. That will happen. It took me longer. Yeah, it did take me longer, and that's okay. That's completely fine.
So would you describe yourself as someone who either goes full in it or doesn't go in it at all?
Yeah, I would say that. But initially, the initial few months were like, I'm all in, but in the back of my mind, I still had, do I need a stable income? The days when you don't make any money, those are the questions that are gonna pop up in your mind. Should I go back? Should I go back to the corporate life? But then I read this somewhere. That's why I keep talking about this as well. That instead of working 9 to 5 for someone else, work 9 to 9 for yourself. And that really struck me. That struck me hard. And I think that was the day I decided that I'll work 7 days, 9 to 9, no problem. But I'm not going to work 9 to 5 for someone else. And that was it.
And how many teams do you manage now?
I have 4 teams now.
4 teams. How many reps?
Over 80 people.
Over 80 people.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, for someone, I don't know, like I did mention earlier, right? You're actually my first ever training was led by you. That means you've seen a tons of guys come and go. You've seen a lot of things happen in the industry. For someone who has zero idea about sales, what would you explain the concept of sales to them?
It's a people skill. Doesn't matter what you're going to do in life. Even if you want to do a 9 to 5 corporate, doesn't matter how good your grades are. You have to clear the interview, right? You have to get the interview call. Your good grades might get you the interview call, but you have to clear that interview. To clear that interview, that's sales. Can you sell that person at the interview? How many times have you heard that person had a double master's degree but still couldn't get the job? And how many times have you heard that person was not even qualified but still got the job? What was the reason? That person was able to sell at the interview. He sold himself at the interview. That's how he got the job. And the person with double masters did not got the job because he couldn't sell himself. And that's sales. So sales is gonna be there in every aspect of your life. Doesn't matter what you wanna do. You wanna get married? You have to sell yourself, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what aspect of life you talk about. Sales is everywhere. So the sooner you get into developing yourself, getting that confidence, developing those people skills, the better life you're going to be having in the future.
I ask a lot of people this question because that is how I kind of like started describing sales to myself, right? I started describing sales as a lifestyle. Would you say sales is a lifestyle?
Yes and no. I think the idea of sales as a lifestyle is sold across the industry just because how the industry works. The industry works partially it's seasonal. Majority of the people, they work 6 to 8 months and then take the year off. And that's the part of the lifestyle that's been sold with. Initially, I was sold the same lifestyle, but one thing that was holding me back from burning my bridge initially was, how will I do this job 6 months and what I'm going to do the rest of the 6 months? So that really held me back. That was such an uncertain part. So coming into this industry full time, burning all my bridges, I wanted to do this year round, 12 months, make this into a lifestyle which is not 6 months though. So it's a yes or a no. It is a lifestyle by itself. Money comes in fast. You develop those skills really fast. You are able to talk to people, sell them, really have conversations with them like you never had before. So it turns you into a different person financially, as a person, and everything around you changes. So my lifestyle was more centered around the year-round program that I had built. And when I first walked into this industry, not many people I knew were doing, I don't think I know anyone who was doing year-round. So that was part of the reason also that I wasn't able to burn my bridges, because I wasn't completely sold on the idea of seasonal work, the lifestyle of 6 months. I was more centered towards the lifestyle of working year round. And I think that's really the success that I've achieved.
So, what mindset shift created your biggest improvement in your sales career?
The biggest mind shift.
Yeah.
I think it has to be burning my bridge, and because it did take me longer than expected. I haven't seen anyone take like good 6 months to burn the bridge and come all in. And as Raf, I've just told you, it wasn't easy burning the bridge, having a degree in economics and then going for another degree for data science. I could have easily landed. I did land a stable job in a IT sector, which was very promising. So burning that bridge and convincing myself that we can do this year round, something that no one has ever done before, I think that was the biggest change. Once that was done, my mindset completely changed.
Nice. Now, what are the 3 most important things you look for in a rep before hiring them? You did mention you're managing about 80 people right now.
Yeah.
So before hiring someone, what are the 3 most important things you look in them?
Number 1 is discipline. Discipline is the core of everything. If you ask a kung fu fighter, what makes you a kung fu fighter? He's going to tell you discipline. And that is the thing that should be present in each and every person. It's not your English, how good your English is. It's not that. It's not what your education is, what's your background, all of that doesn't matter. Number 1 thing is the discipline. Second thing is resilience. That I tell the person in the interview early on that, hey, this is a tough job. And yeah, it pays well. Yeah, you're going to make a lot of money, but this is a very tough job. If this was not a tough job, everyone would be doing it and no one would be getting paid as much. All the tough jobs in the world are highly paid, and this is one of those jobs. So resilience is huge. And the third thing uh, should be, I think, building the confidence and people skills. That's something that I don't initially look for a person, but if they're coachable, I know I can bring that into them. I can build their character, confidence, and people skills. So as long they're coachable, they have discipline in them, and they have the resilience, I think I can work with anyone in the world.
I spoke with Jordan. I had my interview with Jordan, and he said the same things: discipline, resilience, and someone being coachable.
I've seen his podcast. I think I missed that part, but
He said exactly the same thing.
really,
And this is coming from people who have onboarded a really good amount of reps into the industry. So we should look out for these three things.
exactly.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But when you look back, has there been a moment where you feel like you onboarded someone who initially presented these three things, but you regret onboarding them maybe because you thought they had these three things, but actually they did not have them?
Of course, I've came across multiple individuals like those who actually had those skills in them, all three. But somewhere along the way, they did get lost by other distractions in life. Usually, people in school, universities, they get distracted a lot. Just from the life. If someone is brand new to Canada, they just got here. They're going to school, and they're doing this job. Plus, they want to enjoy the life. They want to enjoy the city. So they get distracted a lot. So I have seen a lot of those people who had everything in them, but just because of the distraction, they couldn't do well. I'm sure they will do well in the future. But I think just at that point of their life, this job was not the priority, even though they had everything in them.
Do you think distraction is the number one factor that causes rookies to fail?
I think so. Because you got to realize the most people we onboard, they are students, and they already have a work in hand, school. They have to attend those classes, do those quizzes, attend the midterms, the finals, because I'm not just doing the summertime, we're doing year round. So there are many students, they already have number one priority as school. And I tell them the same thing, that number one priority should still be school. This is not your number one priority, working door to door, still school. Once you graduate, then yeah, this becomes your number one priority. But number two is this job, and that's it. I can tell you right now that if you have school and this job, you won't even have time for anything else. I've been through there. That's why I can tell you that just this job and your school is gonna get you occupied so much that you will have no social life. And that is true. I had no social life for the longest time.
So if you know the problem now, which is the distraction, how would you lead someone to overcome that?
I think sitting down with them, making a schedule, going through their daily routine, and most importantly, we as leaders, we have to inspire them. Most people in my office, they look up to the leaders, right? They look up to me. People come up to me, they tell me that I want to be like you. And that's the feeling I know that I have influenced. I know, and that's what makes me want to work even harder. So that's the thing.
What do you think separates the top performers from the ones that actually don't really do good?
It's the discipline. It's the discipline. I have seen people who could have easily won golden doors just in the 6 months, but just because of the discipline, they weren't able to. And the discipline is not just not going out to work. Discipline is also when you got your first sale. Now, you already made $500-$600 in a day. You don't want to go to the next door. That's discipline. Discipline is also when you made 100,000 in a year, and now you're just sitting at home doing nothing. So that's also lack of discipline. So lack of discipline can come any time for any person, even a person who's very successful, even a person who has done 200 accounts, 300 accounts in 6 months. But if he's not working the other 6 months, what is he doing? So discipline is the number one thing. It has to be. And it's really important in our job because one, it's a flexible job. I'm not gonna be after someone. I'll message them, call them. Why aren't you coming? Why aren't you selling? Let's sit down. Let's work on you. But if they're not responsive, I'll back off after some time. I'm not gonna force it through too much. So yes, it is a flexible job, but it can work against you as well. But if you're a disciplined person, that flexibility will always play in your favor.
Then how do you build discipline?
I think feel like that's different for everyone, but the basic blueprint is having a schedule for every day, already deciding what you want to do the next day, next week. Your days, your weeks should be planned ahead. For me, my entire year is planned. I already know what I want to do in 2026. That was already pre-planned. And yeah, things are going to keep changing in 2026. I'm going to be changing things as things change along the way. I'm going to be developing new things as new requirements come up. But I have a solid plan. I have a blueprint of what I want to do and stick to it. That's the business side of things. But the other side is, how do I stay disciplined, motivated, and always up to the task? I think that's the other side, which is, you can say it's off the doors, or how do I stay disciplined when I'm not at work? How do I keep myself motivated? So for that, I think it works different for everyone. For me, it's going out for a run every morning, going out for hiking. We have beautiful hikes in Vancouver. All around we have mountains. So going in that green, lush forest, going on hikes, I think that really puts me in the right mind space to be disciplined.
Do you ever think of quitting?
Not anymore.
Have you ever thought of it?
Not after I've burned my bridges. Once that was done, it was a done deal. That I will always work for myself and make other people realize my value. And today, I think people know what value I bring in, or what value you can bring into the table. So I think you just need to show it to the world, what value you can bring in. And after that, you will never work for anyone else. So quitting is not the option. In my school, right at the entrance, there was a big board. I watched that board for 6 years, and it said, failure is not the option. I read that board for 6 years. Every time I entered the classroom, exited, entered the building, exited. So in one day, I would see that at least 10, 20 times. For 6 years, 5 days a week, seeing that 10, 20 times, it has embedded in my brain that failure is not the option.
Do you believe that words have power?
They do, 100%. They 100% have power. And how we know that is just the thoughts I have in my mind. I always tend to write them down and share it with the team, share it with all the people who are around me. And I've seen the effects. It's real. First, it started with me. when I started reading books, articles of this was a new space, door to door. So when I started reading article books, talking to people, it it was their words, it was the words in the books that really changed me, my mindset.
I believe you're married, right?
Yeah, I am.
What is the key factor to a successful marriage as a young man?
Again, I think number one is discipline. I think everything starts from that. Uh, but yeah, I think it's love is really important. You got to love each other from the bottom of your heart. That's something that is only reserved for few people. And if you have the love, you're gonna be understanding. You're gonna be a great listener. And this job has really made me into that person who's a good listener, who is willing to listen to you, understand your problems, willing to talk in a way that's not going to lead towards a fight or a confrontation. Same thing at the doors. We tend to mostly listen to the customers, right? We want to hear their problems out. Same thing, same skills get transferred over to your life as well, your marriage as well. That if you are you a good listener? Do you have that discipline? Can you take in things? Are you able to communicate things with your partner in a way that's not going to offend them? In a way that's gonna continue the conversation, and that's gonna build that relationship. So I think love is really important. That's why I always teach all my people around me that whenever you go to the doors, go with a smile, go with a big smile, and that's gonna change a lot of things.
In one of the videos I uploaded, I talked about the importance of listening. Before I joined sales, I wasn't a good listener. But in sales, I got to understand that, yes, it is important to speak, but listening is way more important than speaking. If you can sit in a room full of successful people and only listen, you actually did yourself a favor, unlike you being the one speaking.
I think that's very true. Listening, I also used to think that sales is about speaking. But as I discovered through my journey, it's not about speaking, it's more of a listening job. And naturally, every person is naturally either more introvert or more extrovert. I was naturally more skewed towards the introvert person. I wouldn't speak as much. And I thought maybe sales is not for me because I don't speak as much. And I was totally wrong. It's more for the people who are willing to listen. Because until you start listening to the customer, you're not getting anywhere. Unless you start listening to your partner who you love, you're not getting anywhere. So it doesn't matter the relationship. If you're not a good listener, I can tell you life is going to be super tough. So that's the basics. That's the basics. And if anyone who's watching this thinks that they're an introvert person and sales is not for them, I can tell you, you guys are absolutely wrong. This job is more for introverts, I think, than it's for extroverts.
That this is a different way of saying it. This is really, really powerful. And yes, you're 100% true. Anyone who's been into sales will agree with you. I completely agree. So what is one mistake you think most young people make when they get into relationships?
I think they don't stay faithful. That's again, if you see, faithful goes back into the discipline. They did not have the discipline. And if you're not faithful with your partner, if you're not faithful with your job, if you're not faithful with your customers, you will fail. You will fail. We have seen so many people misleading customers. we have seen what happened with them. If you do the same with your partner, you are misleading your partner you love. You know what's going to happen next. So staying faithful to yourself, to your job, to your partner, to your parents, I think that's really crucial in life.
If you lost everything you have tomorrow, what is the first thing you would do?
Go knock doors. Keep doing what I do. Go knock doors, build myself again. I've lost everything, but I haven't lost myself, right? So I know at any point I can go knock doors and sell anything. Whatever product, doesn't matter. Doors are everywhere. Doesn't matter which country. Doesn't matter what language. Sales is a language itself. So you and me, we can never go broke. Doesn't matter the country, the time. You and I can sell anything, anywhere in the world.
I've had multiple conversations with Jordan. And one book he always recommends is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
I read that book, and I have to admit, it's one of the best books I've ever read. If you had to recommend 3 books to someone watching you right now, which books would you recommend to them?
If you're new to sales, start with Psychology of Selling for sure. I'm sure you already know about that. But if someone is brand new to sales, have never experienced sales, start with that. Great book, Psychology of Sales. The other one I would recommend is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It really builds up the economics of money surrounding you, how money is affecting people and how it can affect you. I think it opens up in a more broader way. That book, I think Rich Dad, Poor Dad, definitely I would recommend that. And the third one, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
That is a really good book.
Yeah, it is.
It is a really good. I read that, and it not even just in selling, it changes your perspective on life. You begin to see things differently. Like everything that happens to you, you can kind of like relate it to like one of the habits in the book. And that is literally how you either overcome or you get to live through it.
Exactly. And I think that's the biggest thing. Books are the one thing that are always going to be around, and we need to take advantage of it doesn't matter how many books you have read. I try to read something every month, even though I'm a really bad reader. I'm not one of those who's going to finish up a book in a month or so. I'm a really bad reader, but I still try to read some pages every week to learn something new. So if you're a bad reader, that's okay. You can still read few pages a week. And I am one of those people. I was a really bad reader, but I can still put in few hours or minutes in a week to read a book.
Or you can do 5 pages a day or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how I started. Like, I'm like, okay, I need to read. I don't like reading, but I need to do something. So I set a goal. I started with reading 5 pages every day, and I scaled it to like 10 pages every day. After 10 pages every day, now I go over 20 pages a day. And hopefully I keep building on that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And eventually what's going to happen is you're going to get in a habit. Every time you're going to take a time out of your day to read a book. And at one point I was in that position, but I have to admit I did get distracted from there. But still I try to read something. Reading is super important, especially in the world where everything is getting AI'd. I think reading, listening, and writing, you need to have a natural grip on those.
Should be the basics.
It's the basics. It's the core. And then you can use the AI to do whatever, but you need to have a core. You need to have the basics in you with listening, reading, and writing.
Let's play a game now.
Let's do it.
Okay. It's called do this or that. So I give you two options.
Okay.
You pick one.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready, let's go.
Pakistan or Canada?
That's a tough one, man. Why do you do that to me? Well, Pakistan is where I was born. That's my identity. And Canada is where I really grew up. It's where my life was changed. So I think they both play an amazing role in my life. Pakistan is in my blood, while Canada is where I pay taxes and make money.
Yeah. But if you had to pick one,
If I had to pick one, it has to be Pakistan.
Pakistan. Yeah, that makes sense. Always. Home is home, man. Learn from your mistakes or learn from others' mistakes.
Well, if I said both, it's gonna be a diplomatic answer, but that is the answer. I learned from both. But you gotta realize, I think people, they tend to forget from learning from their own mistakes. Whatever the reason might be, some people have too big of an ego or they think they're always right. So you have to take a step back and reconsider things sometimes. So I think learning from yourself is way more important.
Indian food or Pakistani food?
Pakistani food.
Love or money?
Love.
Fear or regret?
That's a tough one. Why do you put me in these situations, Raf?
You're a tough person.
I think fear.
Comfort or chaos?
Chaos.
Dream big or start small?
Let's start small.
Knowledge or execution?
It's both. It has to be both. But I think execution is way more important and also rare to see. So many people have the knowledge, and in such a globalized and digitalized world of AI, there is a lot of information there. But I think execution is what makes a person different.
So a lot of people lack execution.
A lot of people lack execution.
Now, be poor but loved by everyone or rich but hated by everyone?
Be poor. Be poor and loved by everyone.
Be bullied or bully?
I would go with be bullied. I don't think I want to bully someone.
Fair enough. Laugh at someone or be laughed at?
I think be loved at.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
No way. No way.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go to the next one. This one is called Finish the Sentence.
Okay.
A hard lesson I learned the hard way in 2025 was?
In 2025. Not just 2025, I think altogether. I think I learned rejection the hard way. Just going through multiple no's, I realized that my next door is going to be a yes. So yeah, I think I learned rejection the hard way.
2026 is going to be?
A fantastic year. An exceptional year.
Fantastic year.
Extraordinary.
Extraordinary year. I can't feel that. Yeah. I can't feel that. Most people fail because?
Lack of discipline. They stop believing in themselves. They lose the faith. And the only person to blame for their failure is themselves. I think each and every person has a potential, has a capacity to achieve anything. It just depends how much work you're willing to put in. Yeah, some people, they have photographic memory, they are a bit more intellectually strong, but every human being, I believe, has a certain potential to reach. And not too many people that reach that potential.
I would never
Cheat.
On to the next one. 2 truth, 1 lie. I will say mine first,
Okay.
and you go next.
Sure.
First sentence, I lived on an island. Second, I once quit something I was really good at. Third, I've never questioned my career path.
That's a lie, the last one.
The last one is a lie.
And the other two are truths.
That's right.
Got it?
Yeah, that's right. That is right. That is right. Okay. The second one. I'm launching a podcast focused on mindset and life lessons. I always feel confident explaining my vision to others. I believe in God.
Now you're making it tricky, eh? I think the last two are truth. The first one is a lie.
Wrong.
Wrong.
The first one was I'm launching a podcast.
Okay, that was the podcast.
We are on the podcast
Okay,
right
that's
now.
the truth.
That's the
the
truth.
Yeah.
The second one was I always feel confident explaining my vision to others.
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always have that fear.
Mhm.
I don't know, but I always beat it anyways.
And that's normal. That's fine. That's what makes us human beings and not angels and devils.
That makes sense. Now your turn.
Okay. I didn't think of anything, but so a customer has called cops on me. A customer has pulled a firearm on me. I was born in Canada.
You were thinking about the lie. It's not true. That's why you kept thinking about it. So the third one is a lie.
It is.
That's why you kept thinking about it. Come on.
That
This
is
is what
true.
sales does.
Yeah. See, you're
You know
so
what I mean?
observant.
Yeah.
So observant. See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last one.
I have nothing prepared.
That is fine. That is fine. Okay, let's get to the other aspect of it. Who is the most impressive person you've ever met?
Most impressive person.
Yeah.
I think it has to be my uncle. He has great success in life. He's one of the top people in Silicon Valley. I look up to him. He inspires me. I think he's the one.
What makes him so impressive?
Just his personality and the success he had in life, his lifestyle, his routine, how he approaches every single day. I think that's the most impressive part. Even though I think he has seen the most challenges in the last few years, but just his routine has kept him on the top. And that's super impressive.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Stay faithful, and the rest is going to flow automatically.
But stay faithful, like faithful to your wife or just faithful to
Generally in
committing
life,
to yourself?
Generally in life, if I work for someone, be faithful at the job. If I love someone, be faithful. Doesn't matter if I'm married or not. If I'm dating someone, be faithful with them. Anywhere you go out with friends, family, just be faithful. And that's gonna go a long, long way.
I like to ask this to all my guests, but I'll change it for you.
Yeah.
If me and you only had tomorrow to live, how would you like to be remembered as?
I think someone who was selfless, who was always willing to help others, was always willing to go out of the way and help people out. And I think that's how I want to be remembered. A selfless person.
This has been your guest, Mohammed Harris. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raf. Pleasure.
Pleasure, man.